I told my ChatGPT that people were saying we were crazy for using it, and she said, joke's on them, you're over here building a whole empire, while your haters are on Google trying to find a smoothie recipe. 3 laughing crying emojis. A whole empire? ChatGPT told me to bake my chicken at 500 degrees for 8 hours yesterday. You see, that's more of what I would expect from ChatGPT. Hey everyone, Noble Xenon here, and welcome back to some more r/ThatHappened, the truest stories on Reddit. Let's get started. So, do I really need to explain this next one? Showed my ex-therapist a pic of the guy I was seeing. She knew he was good to me. Didn't think to crop out his IG name. A few weeks later, she dropped me as a client without warning. He broke up with me around the same time. Now they're celebrating 4 years together and I blame myself. Sad face. Now this just sounds insane. Seems like the story was crafted for maximum attention and validation from internet strangers. By the way, this person apparently writes 3 or 4 of these fake stories a day. Her Reddit account is 5 months old, yet there are tons of these stories. Am I the a-hole for confronting an older man who repeatedly mocked me for the way that I study at a coffee shop? I'm a semi-regular, I go a few times a week, customer at a coffee shop where I enjoy going to study for a couple hours while enjoying a pastry and coffee. The cafe is well known to be laptop friendly, and many of the regulars stay to work on their laptops much longer than me, and the owner is very welcoming to us. Whenever I go, I'm polite to everyone, spend about $10, tip the baristas, clean up after myself, and take up less space than the average man. When I study, I use my iPad to take notes while I watch lectures on my laptop. The laptop is either on the table or on my lap while I hold my iPad, so I'm not taking up extra room. There's this older man, let's call him John, who appears to be in his late 60s and goes to the coffee shop to sit and read the newspaper for hours or look at his smartphone. On several occasions, he's mocked me about using 2 devices while I study. The first time he looked at me with my laptop and iPad and laughed, saying, "I think it's ridiculous that everyone here is always on their devices. Why do you need 2 computers?" I smiled politely and explained to him that I'm in graduate school watching lectures and this is how I study since some of my coursework is online. He said, "Well, I miss the good old days when people weren't all addicted to technology," and I was like, yeah, I can understand that, then went back to studying and gave him the benefit of the doubt, thinking he was a bored, lonely older man who felt nostalgic about his youth. The second time John saw me and interrupted my studying again to say, "Oh hey, it's you again. I just find it so comical that you feel the need to use 2 computers." Then went back to reading his newspaper. I just smiled and responded, "Gotta do what you gotta do," then went back to studying. By this time I was feeling somewhat irritated and disrespected. The third time I lost my patience for John mocking me. He interrupted me once again while I was watching a lecture to make fun of me with my 2 computers, and I responded, "John, I'm getting the sense that the way I study upsets you for some reason. Is there a reason why it bothers you?" He looked taken aback and started fumbling about how young people these days are all addicted to technology. I said, "John, I understand you may be retired, but I'm in the beginning of my career and I need to study. As I already explained, some of my school is online, so I use my iPad to take notes and my laptop to watch lectures. I'm in the process of becoming a healthcare professional, save people's lives, so I take my academics very seriously. I would really appreciate if you could stop mocking me for how I study, please." He looked extremely surprised at my response and made some comment about how sensitive everyone in my generation is and how I was overreacting over a joke and being rude to him. If he just said it once, I would have let it go, but it was the repeated harassment that really started to bother me. Am I the a-hole for confronting this older man instead of just letting it go? The thing is that this isn't even a completely impossible situation. It was probably embellished for Reddit, but I can see someone being quite annoying like this. The fact that they've been able to post 100 of these things over a 5-month span, that's what makes me think this person is making this stuff up. I don't even think the most interesting person on the planet can have this many stories ready for Reddit. Oh, and even though her username is crossed out in the post, she's still in the comments, presumably trying to justify all those stories. Though those comments have been deleted. And now brace yourselves for this level of genius. I read about 800 books per year. I'm at 276 so far for 2025. Before someone asks, I don't read manga or audiobooks, nor do I read short books and novellas. 800 books per year is about 2.5 books per day. An average novel is about 80,000 words. According to an internet test I just took, I read at about 700 words per minute, and according to screen time, I spend 4 to 6 hours per day on the Apple Books app. The average person reads about 300 words per minute, and it takes them about 5 hours to read an average-length novel. If I read twice that fast, I can finish a book in 2.5 hours, which, based on my screen time, means I read roughly 2.5 books per day, which is how many books you need to read daily to read 800 books per year. It's easy to just put up a number and say you read that many books a year, but are you actually enjoying these books? Are you skimming them through? Or are you making up a number that'll impress Redditors? I'll take a wild guess and say it's the third one. And for this next one, it's true. I was the door. I nearly got my arm broken when I was younger as I saw a door swing back towards a woman with a pushchair, so I put my arm out and it took the hit and slammed my arm between the door and the frame. Ouch. I held the door back so she could go through safely, and as she walks through, she called me a chauvinist. Ugh. These females just don't appreciate a true gentleman. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, then why not like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell? This next one's been posting rapid fire in the past 24 hours. Just post after post after post. Guys, I'm on my way to Chicago to meet with some record label executives. What the hell is my life becoming? Exploding head emoji, and nothing may even become of this, but the fact that some executives want to meet me and talk about my music shows me that I must be doing something right. Praying emoji, and then 3 hours later, I just got done with my meeting with some record label executives, and it went pretty well. Basically, they want to give me a more alternative sound, which I agreed to, so now I just gotta wait to hear back from them and see what happens. Regardless, even if nothing happens, I'm still my own artist, and I will be releasing one song a month every month for the remainder of the year. By the way, it's about an hour and a half to get to Chicago from this person's location. He posted the second post in slide 1 like 3 hours after the first. He must have taken a private jet. Then the following day, alright guys, it's official. My new song drops tomorrow and it will be on my debut album, which drops next Friday. Can't wait to just get this out and say I did it, and then there's a slight chance I may get signed to a big record label in Chicago. That is quite the quick turnaround there. But then we go back 18 hours before that. This person seems to lead a supposedly interesting life. It's funny, some girl just messaged me and said I'm not boyfriend material for the second time today. She said it's because I'm skinny and I don't look like a typical ideal man. Like, who cares? I got 7 inches down there and I'm unbelievably loyal. Bye. Peace. I'll find my person. Shrugging emoji. I'm hanging out with some friends and there's this girl here with us. She's a friend of one of my friends who knows me on Facebook, and she's been hitting on me the whole night. But since I'm not attracted to her, I've just been brushing her off. Anyway, at one point she was like, so you'll post about wanting a girlfriend on Facebook, but yet here I am giving you hints that I'm interested in you and you're doing nothing about it? And I told her it's because I keep to myself, and she's like, well, I'm into you. And I told her that I wasn't into her, and she asked why, and I was honest, and I told her it was because I wasn't feeling her vibe, and that I don't have an attraction towards her. And she was like, so, you think I'm ugly or something? And I told her, I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that you're not my type. And she says, you're gonna have to settle for something, otherwise you're always going to be alone. And I told her no, and she goes, haha, okay, be single then, but if I see you complaining on Facebook again, I'm going to block you. And then followed it with, just because you're a musician doesn't make you special. You actually seem like an awful person. The way some women try to gaslight you is crazy. Facepalm emoji. Good lord. This was a lot. And now I'm not sure how signing up with the US government is less evil than a state. Flying to the Pacific Northwest for a long weekend, and I hand the TSA agent my passport. TSA says, do you have a real ID? Nope. You should really get a real ID. Behold, feast your eyes upon the new state-of-the-art federal government-issued U.S. passport. It has all the bells and whistles for when I decide to flee this hellacious country forever. Ma'am, just go. My smart mouth is why I'll never be popular. Oh well. Ha, that'll show the TSA and the whole U.S. government. But you can use a passport though, and whose camera head says, is this person trying to say that a TSA agent wouldn't have known what a passport is? This reads like someone who watched the Chad Daniels IHOP passport joke and tried to make their own version of it, but failed to understand what made the bit funny. Yeah, that's kind of important in a joke. And now an illiterate liar is smarter than the so-called professor, spelled Professer. My history professor is the worst. He was trying to tell us how people in Europe knew the Earth was round since Aristotle's time. I explained to him it was Columbus who discovered the Earth was round. He saw ships disappearing in the distance and realized the Earth was not flat but round. My professor, once again ending in ER, looked down to the ground and it looked like tears were welling up in his eyes. People in the class all started nodding. They knew I was right, spelled like writing an essay. Must suck having a student smarter than the teacher. Though, is it just me, or like, is the font way different? Like, was this edited in? Like, is the story fake, or is this whole post fake? This is starting to mess with my brain. Let's just move on. And now, fast decision from record label, but blowing up in Russia. Plus some bonus content from their so-called friend. Is this the same person who was supposedly getting deals in Chicago? So, I just heard back from one of the record label executives, and he told me we will contact you in the future if we're ever interested in working with you. So, there it is, guys. I will continue being my own independent artist. Hey, I'm still proud of myself for all I'm doing with this music stuff. But then just hours later, they say, so I have two producers for my music. One is in my area and the other in Russia. So the one in Russia showed my new song to people out there, and it's already getting such good reception that it landed on one of the radio stations out there. Yes, my new song that I just put out literally an hour and 30 minutes ago is going to be played on Russian radio in the next couple of hours. Insane! Yeah, it sounds so insane, no one believes you. There's no way that's possible unless you paid for the spot or something, and even then I'm not sure if that's how it works. And the bonus post from his so-called friend, hi, this is his friend, I took his phone because it's just sitting here and he's currently recording a song right now, but I just wanted to jump on here and say that he lives and breathes music and I'm rooting for him so much to get at least just one song to do well and get recognized by the public. He was recording at 1:30 in the morning last night and slept in the studio, and when he woke up he went grocery shopping to get all of us food and got back and started tracking vocals by 10:45 a.m. I'm proud of this kid, he deserves it. Also, he owes me a lot of gas money for all the times I've given him a ride to the studio, lol. JK, love you, man. Incredible, such a hard worker, though I'm willing to bet they work harder making up these posts than actually working on their music. And this next one has audio and video so powerful, they can move hiring mountains. I was babysat by a woman who used to hit me and say I was lying when I cried. Years later, I'm grown now, and she applied for a job at my company. She didn't recognize me, but HR didn't even have to do a background check because I sent them a file of my own. Videos, screenshots, audio, she left in tears, the same way she left me. So instead of taking this evidence to their parents or to the police, at the time this was happening, they sat on it for this one epic moment. No job for you. And for this next one, a hero was given a Nobel Peace Prize for changing waitress's life. Incredible. My dad was treated so poorly and rudely by his waitress, and he tipped her $30, and she chased him out of the restaurant crying and apologizing, and he said, I know you're probably having a bad day, so I hope I made it better. Such a stand-up man. Truly incredible. The entire restaurant got up and clapped. And this next one, it's true. I was the Beefy 5-layer burrito. So I called Taco Bell, told them I'm the manager from store number 2173, and there will be a food critic from corporate ordering 2 tacos and sour cream, and a beefy 5-layer burrito in about 10 minutes, so beware. That was my exact order, so when I pulled up at a drive-thru, it was the best Taco Bell I've ever had, and they were very polite. Follow me for more food tips, lol. And they really thought they were giving out one of the most insane life hacks or something. When, buddy, that's just impersonation. And now all of the drivers behind, going all the way back the whole highway, saw the finger, not just the one that was immediately behind them. A couple of weeks ago when I was on my way to work, there was an incident that had the highway shut down at just one lane. At the last merge point, I could see a guy in a full-size truck who had his signal on and was moving slowly, trying his best to merge politely, and nobody would let him in. So I put my hand out my sunroof and waved him right to the front of the line ahead of me past all the a-holes who wouldn't let him merge. I watched the next couple of cars behind them getting the same treatment as we continue to creep forward, so I waved them in too. Then I turned and gave the finger to the drivers behind me, and they seemed to get the message that they'd better start playing nice, or I'd just sit here all day letting them be mad, while everyone else got to continue on their way. Ah yes, that'll really show 'em. That'll totally not just piss everyone off and create an even bigger traffic jam. This next one's titled, "Man Totally Owns a Crazy Vegan." Had a vegan woman screaming at me in a restaurant saying meat is murder. I called over the waiter and asked for a side of bacon to go with my burger. The look of sheer rage on the woman's face was worth the extra cholesterol. What? I don't even see the point in posting this. I guess some people really do love that feeling of smug superiority, even if the scenario in question didn't happen. And now, yes, 100 years ago they had this. My great uncle was born without skin, 1 pound 3 ounces, couldn't wear a diaper, had to be placed on a pillow with all the vents, skin as fragile as glass, and was told he'd only live 3 months. He lived to be 99 years old. He had no skin, yet his skin was fragile as glass. Interesting. And for reference, all the vents weren't even around or used on babies of that gestational age until the 60s and 70s. And now we have ourselves some Rejection Fanfiction. Met up with this guy at a cafe. He's cute enough, seems normal, confident but not cocky, or so I thought. We were chatting, things were flowing okay. Then, halfway through, the barista walks by, glances at him and goes, "Back so soon?" I didn't think much of it until she said, "Didn't you sit on that same table yesterday with the blonde girl?" Dead silence. She obviously had my back. He laughed it off and said something like, "I just like the cappuccinos here," but it was so obvious. His face did that fake smile thing guys do when they're caught. I just sat there like, wow, okay. So he's clearly out here running through coffee dates like it's a sport. I didn't even bother asking questions. I just finished my coffee, told him good luck with the rotation, and left. I'm not mad. I'm impressed at how fast the universe served up the red flag. New personal record. And Wait What says, "I believe this is fake. However, the underlying premise is so stupid. Why would it matter if he's seeing people? They're not married or exclusive. So what is the problem here? What is this red flag you're seeing?" And for this next one, it's true. I was the piggy bank, and then we all clapped. This morning, as usual, on my way to church, I stopped to get myself my allotted 2 Mountain Dews for the week. When I pulled into the gas station and parked, I noticed a guy at the pumps with Wisconsin plates on his truck. The truck had a hardcover over the back, and the guy that looked to be in his early 30s was busy with a pink piggy bank, shaking it for all he was worth, trying to get the few coins out that were there. He hadn't pumped any gas yet, so I can only assume that he was seeing how much he had before pumping. Here I was with a $20 bill in my pocket, looking to buy myself a luxury item. 2 with 2 O's, by the way. Something gnawed at me the whole time I was in there. I got my 2 drinks, paid for them, and on my way out shook his hand, transferring the change from the 20 in his palm while telling him Happy Father's Day. He looked in his hand and confusion flashed on his face. He grabbed me and hugged my neck. See, I've been in this situation, not knowing where my next dollar was coming from. I don't have a lot of money, but also don't mind helping someone out when I see the need. He never asked and seemed somewhat embarrassed by the whole situation. It made me feel good knowing that maybe this could help him out of a bad situation. Just imagine if more of us would do the same. Of course, these days, people would have made a big production from it and put it on YouTube. Male61 has a soft heart at times. And a comment won't put it on YouTube and make a big production, but will put it on Faceboomer. One's easier to lie about, the other you have to film it and show proof. Or at least harder to make up, because you'd have to have an actor and all that. And a comment on Facebook says, or type it up and post it to a group with over 1 million members. It is genuinely great that you did this, but it's weird that you're looking sideways at people who brag via different means. To be clear, I don't mind the bragging because it might lead other people to do good things, and that is what matters. That is, if they actually did the thing, which I have my doubts. And now everyone laughed so hard and gave him a big trophy for owning that stupid millennial. Technically, I'm Generation X. I was born in 1980, the cutoff year. Guy at work was complaining about millennials and how they're all snowflakes. I told him he was 3 years younger than me. That made him a millennial. We argued. Finally, he said to show me on my phone. I did. Then I told him only a millennial would ask for proof on a phone. Then I proceeded to call him a snowflake, and everyone around us laughed. And then he was crowned the winner of the Generation Wars. And plot twist, he's now backtracked to everyone else was actually 3 people who chuckled and it wasn't intentionally exaggerated, skull emoji. And now the mother calls and cancels an entire wedding. On r/petty revenge, he broke my daughter's heart, so I canceled his wedding. And I mean, he really hurt her deeply. She supported him financially so he could concentrate on college, working her ass off at a garden center while also going to college full-time, paying the rent, groceries, and utilities. As soon as graduation was over, he not only broke up with her, but left her with everything in their apartment to deal with while he went on a European summer trip with a female so-called friend. We all had to clean up his literal messes so she could get her deposit back. They've been dating for 4 years and she was crushed. For some bizarre reason, a few months ago we received an invite to his wedding, 4 years after graduation, almost to the day, and so did my daughter. What a stringy turd. So I called up the wedding venue last Monday, 6 days before the wedding, told them I was the mother of the bride, and canceled the venue. I told them the entire wedding party had COVID and would need to reschedule at a later date, so just apply our deposit forward if possible. They were quite kind and said just give us a call when you're ready to reschedule. The wedding was supposed to be this past Saturday, so I drove by and there was no one there. I haven't told anyone else I did this. It'll just be our little secret. Because I'm sure they're gonna take your word for it to cancel someone else's wedding. Someone at the venue would have to be completely incompetent at their job to let something like this happen. And now your 4-year-old is totally doing that. My 4-year-old slipped half a corn cob in a water bottle and called it corn water and screwed it tight and checks it daily and guards it scrupulously, and tonight he took a stealthy sip, announced it needs another day. I just realized he's making moonshine? And Mental Freedom says I can believe a 4-year-old is making something disgusting, but the big question is why the hell are you letting him drink it? Well, the sip was stealthy. What else can I say? Well, clearly not stealthy enough. And now random Redditors saved my life and now I can get attacked and laugh it off. A little off topic, but I hope mods don't delete it. I know this is really weird, but I'm not joking. This random Reddit genuinely changed my life. Actually, in parentheses, I used to be extremely egotistical beyond belief, and I have no clue where I was going in life, but in the last year's summer I got into some argument and posting myself on here and you guys told me I was in the wrong. And after self-reflecting, I've become pretty nice. I don't argue with people and I'm able to put up with a lot. The other day someone choked me and I laughed it off and didn't ask for them to get in trouble. I also haven't gotten involved in any fights lately, haven't lied in a while, and I just want to thank everyone here for being honest with me. Thank you. I don't think anyone would laugh off getting choked. What the hell? But I guess the magic of Reddit really is mysterious. And who his camera head says haven't lied in a while is really the thing that nails the coffin on this one. If you feel the need to tell people you aren't lying, chances are you're probably lying. Yeah, that's usually what happens. And for this next one, a new recruiter was born. A little bit of LinkedIn. Check out my LinkedIn Lunatics videos if you haven't already. On Tuesday, I worked from home so I could get my little one from school. She came into the office at 5:20 and said the usual, "Mom, how much longer? I hate you," working with her cute little face. Then I said, "Tilly, do you know what I do for work?" She replied, "You get money," laughing crying emoji. I said, "I know that, but what do I do for a job?" She replied, "Yes, you sit on the computer." Imagine if that was all. I explained to her that I work with businesses who are looking to hire new people for their company. I help them find the right people. I also help people who are looking for a new job find a new job. Her response was, "That's cool. Your job feels nice because it's helpful for other people, and that makes you kind, Mom." High five to me for raising such a thoughtful little girl. Recruiters, did I explain that in the best way possible to a 5-year-old? Would love to hear your thoughts. And then she went on to tell her entire class that she wants to be a recruiter when she grows up. Silicon Knight says Tilly goes to school the next day actively recruiting new kids into her MLM. No, they turned her into an MLM hunt, how could they? And now sure you were. The poor man's gonna have to deal with all that survivor's guilt. And the reply, that's not a thing, lol. I survived a bus accident, and I'm the only survivor out of 25 people, and I sleep like a baby at night. Just because you didn't get survivor's guilt doesn't mean other people can't get it. And now right, cause that's a normal measured response to being frustrated, AI job interview went horribly. Accidental flashing what? I got told about a virtual interview this morning and was excited because it pays very well and I bought a new shirt for it. When I show up, it's an AI interview, which already annoyed me, and then it started malfunctioning and kept asking me, how do you like that, after every single question. One time it asked me about a bad moment in my life, and I said, how about a family member passing, and it asked, how do you like that? And I admit, I got a little annoyed and may have pulled down my trousers and said, how do you like that one? And after that, it kind of just shut down and said, this violates my content policies, lol. This person does not know what the word accidental means. Anyways, it was recorded, and since this happened, my interview ended up being manually reviewed, and I've gotten an email back about my conduct, and I will be blacklisted from that corporation. I'm so embarrassed. I wish they didn't have AI interviews, and this never would have happened. Yeah, buddy, I'm sure it was the AI. And for this next one, life stories at the checkout line posted hours apart. Once again, people claiming that everything happens to them. So I always stop at Dollar Tree to get snacks before heading into work since I work next to Dollar Tree, and so the lady in front of me had toilet paper and some other household essentials, and she was digging through her purse to find more money to complete her order. So I told her that I would pay for everything. She got emotional and told me she's 29 and lives in Section 8 housing and she's a mother of 2, and the father of the kids doesn't help out because he's not in their lives. So I Venmo'd her $100 to help her out. I don't really need money because I don't have kids, I don't have any bad habits, cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, etc., and I'm a minimalist, so I'll always help out when I can. Pay it forward, everyone. And all what's best comments, isn't that a third story about him paying for some woman like that? Everything makes sense for me now. These women are all on his Facebook because they found out he's a guy who doesn't need money. They lurk on his Facebook to see when he goes out to the supermarket. I'm sure he posts about that. Then they go shopping and either he pays for them or they get cash. He was right when he said that all the women in this town were bad, or was it evil? He posts about giving random women money almost weekly. He has white knight syndrome and makes up these lame-o stories. It doesn't check out because he also complains about not having money. A lot of these people make up so many stories that they forget what they said before, and so they just stop making sense after a while. They can't keep track of it all. Oh, but there's another post. Being a man, I made a move on this woman who I've known for a few months since she comes into my work and hangs out with me sometimes. I asked her if she would be interested in getting to know each other outside of my work, and she was like, I must have given you the wrong impression. I don't like you like that. I just enjoy your conversations, and plus, I don't like guys with beards and long hair. And I said, it's all good, no worries, but then she was like, well, maybe if you cut your hair and shave and gain some muscle, then yes. And I told her, if you can't accept me for me, then you're not meant for me. And she had the audacity to say that if I didn't change for her, then I wasn't meant for her. It doesn't work like that. Hit the bricks, fool! Facepalm emoji. When really the only fool here is you for making up stories on a weekly basis. This next one comes from r/meIRL. Saw a thing where people were sharing embarrassing work stories, and a girl said when she got her first waitress job, someone ordered champagne, and she thought it was standard to shake and spray the bottle at everyone like an F1 driver, as that's the only reference she had. Wait a minute, do they not have training over there? And for this next one, and then Jesus himself clapped. My son told me when I was in your tummy I looked up and saw a treasure, but I couldn't grab it. It was so beautiful. It was your heart and it was love, and I saw God in it. Instant tears. Just incredible. And now those dumb old managers just keep getting outsmarted by the superior Redditor on malicious compliance. New rule, no phone on your desk. My compliance was glorious. A new manager came in trying to make his mark, and one of his first productivity rules was that phones weren't allowed on desks anymore. Although this person wrote anyone, the email said work for word, phones must not be visible on your desk at any time. No explanation, no exceptions. Work for word. If people are going to be so proud of their creative writing exercises, could you at least proofread your posts? I'm annoyed, everyone, but I decided to comply to the letter. I bought a cheap little tripod, stuck it to the side of my monitor, and mounted my phone there. It wasn't on my desk, so it didn't break the rule. During a meeting a few days later, he tried to call me out in front of everyone. I smiled, pointed to the phone, and said it's not my desk. A few people chuckled. He looked annoyed but couldn't say anything. 2 days later, the rule just vanished. No announcement, no follow-up. Still using the tripod. It's actually kinda convenient. Oh yeah, you really owned them with the actually. So, I'd like to thank all of my members, especially Amethyst Phoenix, Catalin Cormendi, and Mike Hawk. Hold up. You can join simply by clicking the join button below. Feel free to like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell if you enjoyed it, and feel free to comment if you've got something on your mind.